So, welcome back to another MotoGP podcast. How are you doing, Jake?
Oh, Punky Dory.
Hunky dory.
It's a
Apologize
beautiful
for
day.
my voice or my nosely voice or whatever, but I have a bit of a flu. But how did you think of the Thailand Grand Prix all in all?
It was very exciting. I mean, it wasn't the biggest passing thing, but it was a rain race, so they're never that good. But under the circumstances, it was a very enthralling race.
It
I
was,
mean,
wasn't it?
everything's turned upside down now.
Well, the championship starts right now. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
when you look
down
at
to the
it like
wire.
down to the wire, and I'm eating a small bit of humble pie because at whatever it was, 80, 90 points, the bones of or whatever Pecco was behind, I thought it was over. He's proving the point that it's certainly not over, and 2 points behind. Now, I do think Ducati are probably giving themselves a kick in the arse right now, and Pecco a kick in the arse right now with Bastianini stealing 5 points
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Aragon, and Pecco throwing away another 8 points or 7 points or whatever it was. He would be in an even stronger position now. But I suppose Philip Boylan coming up next. I'm actually looking at a picture of the track there. There's no major slow corners in it. Okay, there's the hairpin, but it's a very short acceleration zone, and then out of the loop. While it is an acceleration zone, it's all side edge acceleration. So I think the Yamaha could be okay there. Well, with with Fabio anyway. We'll see. We'll wait and see with
yeah.
with Franco. But I suppose, look, the elephant in the room that we do need to talk about is is what in the name of good God happened to Fabio.
He was not happy camper. Let me tell you. Remember, he
Mm,
stormed off, wouldn't talk to anybody. Apparently, that chassis, the new chassis, is not the world wonder that they thought it was supposed to be.
mm.
That happens when you start making one lap wonders or kamikaze laps for testing, and then when people say, "Okay, now it's fine," and then it isn't.
Yeah, like it's very clear. Like Crutchlow said that there was issues with the front tire pressures again. Okay, that's fine. It's fair enough. I kind of looking at it like, yes, he was right to finish the race, but like with 2 laps to go, is there any need? Do you know what I mean? He was never going to get near the points. Do you know what I mean? Even 1 point. He was handily beaten by Franco, which is kind of
Yeah,
embarrassing at this stage. Do you know what I mean?
it
And
really is.
very embarrassing for Yamaha. And this is exactly what I mean by all eggs in one basket. That the top performing Yamaha scored 13th place. Do you know what I mean? And no other Yamaha scored a point. And like there, I could definitely say the dummy was well and truly spat in
Yeah,
Yamaha after, and like even in the press conferences after, Yamaha's team director, or what is it, Massimo or whatever, he was like, we haven't talked to Fabio yet.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And that was a good hour and a bit after the race. Like,
yeah. And when they say all your eggs in one basket, okay, remember, folks, when we're talking about that, we're talking about the factory putting all their faith in the rider's skill. They're saying, okay, we're going to rely on this rider's skill more than we're going to update the bike. You know what I mean? That comes first. We'll rely on Fabio's skill to get us through the mess. And they've been doing that for a decade with Honda, right? And now
mm.
Yamaha seems to be following the same path.
Yeah,
What
but
happened?
at least Honda have changed something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's gotten worse, but they've
But
changed
at
it. You
least
know what I
it's
mean?
an effort. Yeah, at least it's an effort to change it. It didn't go backwards. I don't know what they're doing with that swing arm back and forth, but anyhow, we'll get to
Yeah,
that later.
there has to be something in that swing arm. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Whether they're trying to take the good bits out of the aluminium and build it into a new carbon one, I don't know. But yeah,
Marquez said, and I don't know how to take this. He goes, the carbon fiber one I'm faster on, but the aluminum one I'm more stable.
yeah, Yeah, and he doesn't burn the tire up, but he's racing the aluminium one. Do you know what I mean?
No, he
And
raced
that's
the he raced
did he
the
race carbon?
Yep.
Thought
Yeah, I
it
was
was
keeping track of that.
I thought it was the alu one
The
that he
aluminum one
raced.
he did in qualifying.
What's it qualifying?
What
Okay,
quality two, right, or whatever, quality one, quality two. But and free practice, he used the aluminum one. That just doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, yeah. I know. Day one or FP1 he used carbon, and FP2 he used the aluminium, which that's fine. It's testing. But yeah, look, Jesus, I would have
Actually,
never said.
actually,
I
it was
would
FP1 he used the aluminum one. FP2 we used the carbon.
was it?
Yeah, it just doesn't
Okay.
make sense to me.
I've tagged my photos wrong, so
Yeah, that's okay. We'll let you go this time.
he let me go on that one. Yeah, yeah. But look, I definitely didn't think that I'd be sitting here though after any wet race and looking at Fabio finishing in 17th place, you know, or 16th place or whatever it was. You know, I think, yeah, look, it's blown the championship wide open now. Do you know what I mean? It's realistically the championship, in my view, starts now, and Fabio needs to answer back next weekend with a definitive answer, really. And you know, Malaysia then or Sepang does favour the Ducati. Do you know what I mean? Hard accelerations there for the sector 1 and sector 4. So I don't
And
know,
don't forget,
Jesus.
the Honda, the Ducatis handle very, very well. The only time the Yamaha works as well as the Ducati around corners is when they had power turned down. You
Mhm.
know, people understand how much power affects handling. They're tied in together. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
get. It's easy to get power. It's easy to get handling, but the trick is to get them both together. Power
That's it.
and you know.
That's true. Lady in the street and freak in the bed. You know that
Yeah, yeah.
they don't always come together
And
exactly.
they always come together, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you either go one way or the other. But yeah, Jesus, look, I am looking forward to it. And Pecco, I was actually very surprised how he held ahead in the wet. We all know that he's not doesn't really enjoy the wet weather. Um, Now Ducati said that they found a setting, but it was never really fully tested out until uh, um, this week. Well, Sunday, and
Right.
he looked
Oh yeah,
quite
it's even worse.
comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like when Marquez now and the lads were pushing him, and like even when Oliveira was trying to come past him, do you know what I mean? I was like, oh Jesus, here he goes. Do you know what I mean? He's going to go straight on up the road or out the front door, or
Yeah.
you know, he's not going to stay on the bike. But he kind of managed it well. I thought it was pretty good of a ride for him actually. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? He
He didn't
didn't
panic.
do he didn't do what he did the week before and lose the plot. And like himself and Ducati are definitely ruining last week because he would have had a 6 point lead in the championship now or whatever it is, you know. So, um, yeah, and then Alicia Spagaro,
Oh, what happened there?
he just yeah, like he didn't want to ride, like he did not want to ride, and you could see him like shaking his head, give it out,
Yeah.
and you were just like, if you don't want to ride, don't ride. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Stop being a bitch and
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
If you don't want to ride, you don't have to ride. Go
When
off
the
the
men
grid.
were men and the sheep were scared. You know,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
but
And
no one had data there. No one had data at that track. You could see the difference. I thought Fabio would win because with no data on the track at all, right, it would turn into a rider's race, and he would pull it out. Okay? Obviously I was very wrong on this one. You know,
now we would I tell you what, there was a big secret out on that weekend that. Do you remember the old tires that Honda had a massive problem with in Mandalika?
yeah. When
The
they said
old tire,
it was a controversy, it was a
yeah,
plot. They were sitting in a warehouse for 4 years. That bullshit. Yeah,
yeah. So they weren't sitting in the warehouse for 4 years, but it
I
was the
know, I know.
carcass.
Yeah,
It was the carcass design from 4 years ago.
you're right,
What
exactly.
what carcass are they using this weekend in Thailand?
Yeah, the 4-year-old one, right?
They were
Yeah,
exactly because of the high temperatures. They were using that, right? So, And I'm with you on that. I thought Fabio was going to fly this weekend or have a really strong weekend. I don't know whether I think that he would win it, but I thought he would be up in a serious podium place. And the reason that I thought he would be in a podium place was because the Yamaha hasn't changed too much in 3 years, so they did have data.
Yeah.
in my view. So I thought, oh, well, their bike hasn't changed so much. They would have an idea of the settings. Do you know what I mean? So, but anyway, look, I think, yeah, look, I was disappointed to see Aleix trying to protest people to race. Do you know what I mean? You could see there was a bit of how we call it in Ireland, a smell of desperation from him, of like, trying to get people to go up and complain to Caparossi that it's not safe and this and the other. But look, I think he was also knew that this wasn't his strongest point in racing in the wet. So I guess might be understandable. I thought Oliveira was absolutely unreal, though. Absolutely, like it was, and he didn't rush. Do you know what I mean? He didn't rush it, and I was just like looking at him, and I was just like, you knew he was on, right? But
you know what that is, by the way. I'm going to go back to my horsepower thing. When you're in the rain, you don't have to have as much horsepower. When you don't have to when that chassis isn't stressed as much, then you can use that steel straw chassis.
And that's why I was surprised that you said that when you said that Marquez ran the carbon swing arm, right? Because that's very stiff. So in the wet weather, you want flex.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, look, yeah, but like you could just see it now. I think Binder could have given him a good run for his money. Being honest, Binder was on it, except for his off track or his little argument with Aleix. But yeah, I just thought, and then when I was looking at it, I was just like going. But you could see as well, Maverick, even though that they didn't have any data or testing, was quite surprised at how Maverick actually got on, finishing ahead of Aleix. I know Aleix, they had to do the long lap, but Maverick looked okay. You know what I mean? Normally he's not the bravest in the wet, let's just call it that way. Do you know what I mean? So I was kind of expecting him.
Marquez is the exception to the rule, but usually very fast riders, the cream of the crop, aren't that good in the rain because you're always pushing near that edge in the drive. You get into that habit, then you hit the rain and you go down. But
yeah, I just thought it was interesting. A few of the riders, and I do think, yeah, I don't know. I think Aleix is going to struggle with the last run-ins now because Australia is going to be the same thing that they're going to come up along there with that. They have no experience, or the team have no experience or data at all from Phillip Island. I think that you like it's definitely down between Pecco and Fabio now. Do you know what I mean? It's all about realistically who can hold the head. Now I know. Look, Fabio's an ultra cool guy, and Pecco is fairly cool, to be fair. Do you know what I mean?
Pressure's getting good though.
Yeah. I think, but I think in Pecco's corner, he does have an awful lot there. Like Jack will be an awful cooling, calming influence on him now. Do you know what I mean? As a teammate. Yeah, and like even the likes of Morbidelli and Rossi, I think now they're going to really, that little circle needs to just come in and keep his head squared on. Do you know what I mean? Not let him get panicked. And like if he can finish out the season mentally, like I think he'll be in a very, very good place. But Fabio can't have any more fuck ups. Like, do you know what I mean? Like Fabio's had the second half of the season, like Pecco's had the first half. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's
But it's not Fabio. It's the bike. Let's not kid anybody. I see people now. They're going, "Oh, I'm let down on Fabio. He's riding 110% every race." It's just that those new, he's in a bad spot. That bike is not. It's not even close to the Ducati, to the Aprilias as far as quality.
Exactly.
They have to realize how much he's having to override to get to be competitive at all. Just like
Yeah, look,
Marquez, same thing. Look how well he's riding.
yeah. And look, he is riding like it is extreme how good he has been riding. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just been um even like it's just like he brings that bike to the next level, which is great, but it's also his curse,
Yeah.
because now like there's the expectation and people don't want to change anything
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because why do we need to spend that 5 million when he's gotten to cover it up,
Yeah, and people have
um
an R1 in their garage. You go, but I have an inline four. Why do they have to move? Because they want the bike to be just like their bike in the garage. You know, they have an inline four in the garage. They want the MotoGP bike to be an inline four. Things of that nature. Like as fans go,
yeah
they want to say, "Oh, my bike just like that one." It's
yeah
not
yeah
realistic.
yeah it's not
Yeah,
realistic anymore. And like, look, if it's pure prototype racing, then
right.
it doesn't necessarily have to be in line with road stuff either. But look, I think I think Yamaha do need to have a look and see what's going on. It's going to be fairly bleak next year, so I mean it's going to be the Fabio show, and anything happens to Fabio, it's just going to be like, hold on to your ass here, like, because what is going to happen, and I wonder will people make the same hullabaloos out of Yamaha not scoring any points.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? At a Grand Prix, do you know what I mean? Fabio crashes and your man is down in 14th or 15th place. Even 1 point is embarrassing, like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, um, but yeah, look, Jesus, like that was 3 races on the bounce, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they're all fairly tired and fatigued and whatnot as well. Do you know what I mean? So good week off now, recharge the batteries, and then go to Phillip Island. That'll be an interesting race. I think that's where like Fabio has to win there. Like he has to win.
what's the weather? I'm going to ask you because you're closer. What's the weather? Phillip Island was always a question of what the weather was.
Yeah,
It could be great or it could be extreme because right next to the ocean, the wind's blowing off, and it could be
yeah,
like monsoon season one day, and next week it's beautiful.
yeah,
So I don't know what the season is. It actually has seasons to do Phillip Island. I forget if it was better to run in
yeah. I think
earlier.
I think it's later in the year is better for us because that's coming into their summer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah. So look, we wait and see. Like you can never guess the weather in Phillip Island. Let's just hope for Fabio's sake it's not wet. Um, or that they do have like I know people were saying, Joe, you know, they didn't have a lot of wet practice and whatever, and I think, but no one did. do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not like they missed out in a session or something like that. No one did. So, and again, look, Phillip Island, it's a great circuit. It's like a really, really good circuit. But yeah, and look, like,
Traditionally, yeah.
I
Traditionally, it's a Gotti and Corral there.
yeah, it's like. Yeah, like I can't wait to see it. But like the championship, in my view, is starting all over again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like the first race of the season, but it's a
Yeah.
it's a three race championship now. Do you know what I mean? And no one can make a mistake. Do you know what I mean? You can't even fall off on Friday now. Do you know what I mean? Because if you hurt yourself
Yeah.
and finish 8th place,
Yeah.
you're just
Oh, this
giving away a
season's been
ticket.
amazing.
It's
I
been
didn't
it's
think
been
about it.
it's been mighty. Yeah.
Think
But
about it. I don't even know how Ducati is there. When they had 5 races, they were behind from not getting bikes out. Having the 8 bikes, that killed them. It did. That was a
but
big, huge.
it could be their savior now
Yeah, it's
because
helping them now. Yeah,
they got
but all
set they
year
got
it's killing them. Right.
yeah
Uh,
they got 7 bikes into the top 10 or 12 in
right.
qualifying, right? Do you know what I mean? We've a saying over here in a soccer match. It's called "Park the bus in front of the goal and then no one can score."
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Pecco gets into the lead and the boys beat up Fabio or
Yeah.
or whatever, every point they're taken away from him. Well, that's worth $1 million for Ducati. That's worth another $1 million
Yeah.
for Ducati.
Especially the Yamaha, it's so slow that they have to now. He has to pass, and And you have all year he cannot pass. He has to be all by his lonesome, and that gets his speed out of the thing.
He does, yeah. And look, it's hard for him. Like it's very hard for him to be able to pass anyone, and like he's taking massive risks when he passes, and that's what we mean by it. That it's Fabio won the championship last year, and Fabio is in contention for the championship.
Exactly.
It's not the bike because there's no other Yamaha rider near him.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Now,
I always tell people look at the other bikes. How if you want to check if the bike's good, not just one. You know, one guy, that means that's the rider, you know?
Yeah. And like, look, I've come across an awful lot of people that were saying, you know, that race shouldn't have been run. Do you know what I mean? That the conditions were too bad. And I'm like,
I don't know. It really wasn't that bad. Yeah. Don't worry about if the wet weather tires are going to get too dry and tear up. You know what I mean? Or wear down. It can't be that bad.
Well, yeah. Well, no, there was stages in the Moto 2 race where you were get off, right? But I don't think it was that bad for the MotoGP race, and so but I think fair play to Dorna for getting the race going. Do you know what I mean? And look, it was good. It was good to see it. Go off, you know, and the crowd were absolutely mega there. You know what I mean? You could hear them all singing and chanting away. Yeah. Well, I suppose you've feck all else to do in the grandstand, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. Then did you see after the boys were celebrating and Miller was diving through the muddy water and everything? There was it's super crack, like. But look, like I'm a little bit still dumbfounded that we're 3 races to go in the championship. And it's a start of a new championship again, considering everything. Yeah. So look, I think Marquez was a bit funny. I don't know. Did you hear his comment? He's like, a reporter apparently asked him, and riders are some dickheads at times. Like, you know what I mean, right? But the reporter asked him, right, and they said like, What was the question? Oh, he said, "Oh yeah, so the championship is back down to almost nothing now again." So, Mark, who is your pick for the championship? You know, would it be Pecco or would it be Fabio? And Marquez turned around and he's like, "Well, it would be Pecco's bike." so Marquez is not saying Joe Pecco's going to win it. Pecco's only going to win it because of the bike. Which we're saying is the complete opposite then for Fabio, because like Fabio's going to win it, not the bike. So I just thought it was very funny. Now maybe he could be just listening and stealing our words. Do you know what I mean? But only joking. No, look, I think this one is still a bit kind of feeling a little bit like what's going to happen now. Like we can't even second guess what's going on. I think Ducati are in a good position because they have a bike and an old bike that works. Mm-hmm. Fabio is in a bit of trouble because he has one good track for the Yamaha out of the next 3. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, what is going to happen? Do you know what I mean? I don't think I've ever been actually this excited for, and so excited that I actually can't actually logically think like, who's going to, like, I couldn't actually put it like you
wouldn't want to bet your pension on it. Just put it that way.
You wouldn't. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And normally, like, I'm kind of like, oh, this race is gonna, but now I'm like sitting here and I'm like going, I can't actually choose between them. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I think the winner here is going to be every fan. Do you know, whether you're a Pecco fan or a Fabio fan or whatever. It's just like, this is probably going to be one of the best run-ins that we've had. And secondly, you know, there's only 4 weeks left in 3 races.
Right. Yeah. I'm not a fan of any manufacturer at all, but you know that. But I'm a tech guy. But I think that Fabio is going to pull it out because of Pecco's nervousness. He'll still keep talking about, I'm not going to crash. That shows, I'm going to be careful. He keeps saying it over and over again. That means somebody's very nervous.
Yeah, but then when you look at Fabio on the grid on Sunday, he was he looked tight to me, like, do you know what I mean? And he looked like nervous, tight riding compared to normal Fabio riding. Do you know what I mean?
He looked pissed to me. He looked pissed. Like somebody just screwed him. Like, this is not right. This is supposed to be great. It's not. And you know, I got sold all goods kind of thing.
Yeah, I just thought he looked very nervous and uptight, and I just thought, like, Jesus, you know, does he not want to race either? Do you know what I mean? Now, he's in a different position than the Spagro, in my view, right? Where, like, he is the championship leader. So if he decides to walk off the grid, you know, he's lost his, or potentially lost his world champion. So he can stay. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, look, I just think it's so close coming down to the end of it that, you know, Marquez could actually be one of these ones that really upsets the fucking championship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was afraid when Marquez was behind Pecco. I'm sitting there going, don't knock into him. Don't barrel into him in a corner, right? Didn't he almost do that? The one
he did.
He drove in, like, that's just nasty.
I actually had a similar thought that if he hits him, then the VR46 jet will meet him in Australia and be like, again, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I just can't fathom between them. I think it's going to be. I think Spagro is kind of mentally broken, and I mean that with the greatest respect. I think he's mentally broken, as kind of said, and this is now between the two boys. And while I'm still mathematically in there, I don't think I have the tools to do the job. But yeah, Marquez is a very, very dangerous person. I thought it was very funny with Martin. Martin was like, I wouldn't have held back. So like he would have passed Pecco today, and it. So but yeah, I was worried. I was worried that Marquez didn't. And I do genuinely think if Zarco wasn't there, Marquez would have had a go on the last lap, and that's where the danger point would have been, in my view. And that's, I think, where Pecco would panic a small bit. And like we've seen Pecco panic loads of times, like when in Le Mans, when Bastianini went past him, he panicked. Do you know what I mean? He threw it down the road a couple of corners later. Do you know?
Wouldn't you panic if you had Marquez behind you? He'll plow into anybody.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. We should change his nickname to the Farmer.
Yeah.
Plow a field. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
I'm a Marquez fan, so don't say, "Oh, you're a hater." No, it's just realistic.
Yeah, but look, he'll have a go, and you have to, Joe. You have to admire that. You know what I mean? He could sit behind him and do nothing, but he has to have a go, and that's right too. Yeah, but I think it was, for me, I think it was a brilliant race. Do you know what I mean? I really enjoyed it, and now we're left with a championship, you know, which I think the world will be tuning into now. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of great stuff happening in World Superbikes, but there's an awful lot of great stuff now happening in MotoGP. Do you know what I mean? The title going back down, couldn't have really scripted it any better. Do you know what I mean? Than it's happened. But yeah, I think we'll take a week to think about it, Jake, and then we'll nail our colours to the mast of who we're going to go for the championship. And there's
I think Pecco's gonna. I think Fabio's gonna pull it out just mentally. I think Pecco's gonna make a mistake. That's
all right. Well, look, I'll give you another week anyway, just to think about it, and then we'll seal the deal, and then whoever's right is right, and whoever's wrong is wrong, and get knocked for the rest of the year. Yeah. I drank that beer too, by the way. Just so you know. But yeah, look, I think, I'm still, I'm really happy with where MotoGP is. I did put out a poll as well. Just want to let everyone know that I'll leave it go for another week, or maybe towards the end of the week. But we'll start covering a little bit more of World Superbikes as well. I don't know how much we will be able to do of it, but we'll definitely start covering it and talking about it, because it's good stuff there too happening. But I suppose that's all from me this week. Have you anything else you want to talk about?
That's not it. I think we covered it all.
Perfect. Right. Well,
Good
look,
show.
we
Good show. Damn good show.
damn good show. Exactly. So we'll wrap it up there for this week, and we'll be back again next week with another podcast and also the championship picks that you have to stick to.
One shot. We don't get 2 shots or 3
No,
shots.
no. You can't change the sandwich. There's no sampling the sandwich. Like, you know what I mean? It's do or die. But anyway, thanks everyone, and we will speak to you soon.
Take care.
Peace out.